Nope, still nothing. Greetings, everybody. I've been checking to see if there were any new masks on the horizon, but so far, still nothing. No new masks on the horizon. I promise you, I've been keeping an eye out, specifically this one right here, every day. But as of today, I don't have a new mask. So I'm going to have to once again resort to talking about an older mask, not terribly old, just from 2024. Can we get that year up here? 2024? Yeah, that's good. All right, take it away. That's enough. 2024 was a year in which, as you know, if you've seen any of the recent episodes of Creepy Cheapies, as you know, it was a year in which I had a series of 8 new masks. 8. Which were premiered at MaskFest 2024, which happened to be MaskFest the 13th. They were sculpted for me by the illustrious Chris Russell, who has sculpted many, many great masks over the years. And, well, it was his idea to do this character that has been done before. And you know him, you love him, you can't watch Creepy Cheapies start without him. It's my old childhood friend, Scroovius. Yeah, now if you wonder who or what Scroovius is, he's a sort of, well, I always called him a wizard or a sorcerer, but I guess actually, technically, he's probably more of an alchemist because he's always trying to combine the principles of science with the principles of magic. And it usually doesn't work really great for him, but he's very determined and he keeps trying. And yes, he does have a high-quality plastic spider attached to the back of his hood, right there, as in my comic books Hassel Castle, in which he is the main guy. And as you know, if you know me very well, or if you've kept up with the Mask Fan Attic, which is another series of videos I did a million years ago, there was an episode 11 years ago. 11 years ago of the Mask Fan Attic devoted to an explanation of Scroovius, in which I divulged, for those of you who didn't see it, that he's a cartoon character I made up when I was a little kid. I think I was inspired, it was a long time ago, but I think I was inspired by not only the discovery of fire, but by a sticker, an old Halloween sticker of a skeleton in a red hooded cloak or robe, and I just, 5-year-old me or whatever, liked that look and kind of worked it into a character. And he has been with me all these years. Old Scroovius has. Now, as mentioned a minute ago, this particular one was sculpted in 2024 by Chris Russell, and it was his idea. He liked the character a lot from the cartoons he'd seen and stuff, and he wanted to do a Scroovius. Look how much this looks just like my drawings of him come to life, which you're familiar with if you've seen a lot of the recent Creepy Cheapies since old Scroov took over as introducer at the very beginning of many of the recent episodes. Now, if you wonder why his name is Scroovius, where did I get that? Little kid me thought the syllable, not the word, mind you, necessarily, but the syllable screw sounded funny. And this was long before I knew people used it as an obscenity or anything. I just thought it had a funny sound to it. It was like too many consonants stuck together, screw. It just sounded funny, and I wanted to work that into. So he became a Scroovius, yeah, with a V in it, because the letter V is a great letter, don't you think? I like words that start with V too, But yeah, Scroovius has been with me since, well, as I say, apparently I was like 5 years old when I started drawing little scribbly stick figure cartoons of him, so I know him pretty well. I swear he's not supposed to be me, but over the years people have said that. And as a matter of fact, I can remember one of my old art teachers, who said rather condescendingly, everybody says you're Scroovius, but you're not. You're really more like that stupid cat you always draw. That would be H.P. Kitty. Yeah. There'd be an episode on him, except I don't have a latex mask of him. I don't know that he would make a great latex mask. Well, he thinks he would, but I don't know. Anyway, Scroov here has as you can tell, a plush hood. Now this particular one is a one-off because I sculpted my own Scroovius way back in 1985. Holy moly. And well, I would say I sold a couple dozen of them around the universe is all. And then eventually that stupid Jim Carrey Grinch movie came out where I thought they sort of misunderstood their own story and they kind of spoiled the magic and the fun of the Grinch, even though he was very good as the Grinch. But I was afraid people would think, oh, is that supposed to be the Grinch because it's not a very good likeness? Well, no, it's not. And to me, it doesn't look anything like the Grinch. But if you know how general human beings are, they only remember things in kind of vague ways. And I was afraid they'd be like, oh, green face and kind of a cartoony, kind of a mean-looking smile and the red pointy, that must be the Grinch. And I didn't want to hear that, so I just stopped making Scroovius at that point. What I probably should have done was make him with orange hoods and change his color to orange. Now after that, I did end up making a few more, not many, probably maybe 10 more copies from my old sculpture in just different weird color schemes that looked like Halloween because I think he has a fun aspect about him. I think he has a fun vibe for Halloween. So I did a few that were orange and purple and colors like that. And let me just show you, I don't have one of my original sculptures anymore because the one I had with this hood deteriorated eventually, and I did wear it out in public a bunch of times. And although strangely, believe it or eat it, even though we went through 18 years of horror hotel tours, he never made an appearance there on a mannequin type thing. But I thought he was too silly for that. I kind of wanted scary monsters and characters at Horror Hotel. But anyway, Laura made a costume to go with this way back in 1985. I still have it, and it is made of this type of fabric, which we couldn't find an exact match for today. So I had to tear the rubber face off the old one, the face that was deteriorating from 1985. Yeah, he says my face has deteriorated since 1985 as well. Who asked you? I had to take the face off, keep the hood, and then put one of the new Chris Russell sculpture Scroovius faces on the old hood. And the reason I had to keep it is because it matches the costume, the the robe that he wears. But anyway, just for the heck of it, look what I have here. This is a copy of my 1985 sculpture. And the reason it looks like it does is because I never painted it. I meant to, I just didn't get one of those, what do you call them? A square to it? I didn't get one of those square to its. I don't know. Now I don't know what to do with it, but I thought I had the mold. I did have the mold. The mold disappeared mysteriously sometime in the past few years. Now there were a lot of things stolen out of our barn here in Chatfield. There was a local thief who broke into our barn a bunch of times. I don't even know how many times. Stole tons of stuff, most of it not worth anything, worth any money or anything. He may have stolen some molds. I don't know. Nobody knows. He may have stolen the Scroovius mold, not even knowing what it is or what to do with it, just because some people are really into steelitization, you know? So I don't know. Maybe the thief got it, or maybe it's still somewhere. I don't know, but I couldn't find it when I wanted to. Now, as you can probably tell, when I sculpted this, I was young and dumb instead of old and crazy. Old and crazy is better, by the way, I think. But I think I did a good job capturing the personality of the character, but it's not a good sculpture. It's not really smooth enough. It's a little crude looking. So, like I said, I'm proud of my effort in terms of the personality and the attitude and that kind of stuff. And even though Chris completely left me in the dust in terms of sculpting professionalism and realism and such like. If you wonder why he's white, he's made of white latex, which is something that people normally use to make Myers masks. They pour them in white latex because then you don't have to put much paint on them, because Michael Myers has a white faced mask. But I don't remember exactly where I got the bucket of white latex, but I believe I got it at a convention one year, probably a Mask Fest at the end of the show, but why am I going on about that? You don't care. What you want to see is the one that came out for Mask Fest 2024. These slightly different because of the hood. Now, you couldn't get this fabric anymore, but you guys are going to love this. This is the one that we sold at Mask Fest, and you know what this fabric is? This came from actual funeral home supplies. This is the same type of fabric, which is to say the plush, which is basically the same fabric used in classic masks from Be Something / Zagoni, like Fang Face and the Hooded Skull and those kind of things in the 80s and 90s. This is the same type of fabric, but this came from funeral home use because in funeral parlors they use this on seating and furniture and decoration when they do up funeral settings. So that's why this really nice, rich color, and I love that color. Laura designed the pattern and made all the hoods for all the copies of the Scroovius mask. Obviously, my personal copy doesn't need a tag on it, but if you got one from me either at MaskFest or since then, you would have gotten this remarkable high-quality tag made of genuine 100% cardboard, you know, right there. Recycled from your local cardboard facility. Anyway, there's what he looks like, and he's a pretty darn complicated mask. Let me take him off the head. They say you should always keep a clear head. I keep mine inside this mask. Let's see if you can see what's in there. Can you see the inside of that? He's got the hood attached very carefully. He's got an elastic strap to hold his face in place so that it doesn't slip around, so that you can see out of him. And it's pretty complicated. It's a pretty elaborate thing. It's even got a lovely red fabric lining that Laura put in them just to make it a little more substantial, and so that the back side of this fabric isn't rubbing up against your skin, and it's just nicer that way. And he's also got a foam. Can you see that? This is it's kind of like what they call EVA foam. Normally, I believe it's called L500. This is a flexible foam sheet, and Laura fashioned cones to fit in there and put each one together specifically so that it holds up, so that it looks like the shape of his hood in my drawings. And each one came with a spider. That's right. And talk about going the extra mile through the graveyard. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can get a nice close up on that spider for you. Can you tell? Laura actually glued some hair onto each spider, so it would be a slightly fuzzy spider, because, you know, a bald spider is not as scary as a hairy spider. Yeah, that's an horrible, airy spider right there. And by the way, in the context of Hassel Castle, the comic book, the spider's name is Oscar. Yeah, he named his pet spider Oscar. I don't know where Scroovius got that name, but that's what he calls him. Anyway, we also did some, in addition to this color scheme and this wonderful funeral home fabric, we also did a run of fluorescent neon ones. Wow, with which you would get a fluorescent orange hooded, a hooded hood. I'll fix that in post. Down post. No, I won't. Who am I kidding? You, yeah. It came with an orange hood made of basically this same type of fabric, only the reason it's neon orange, which is to say blacklight reactive, very bright, glowing, is it's used for safety purposes, like for hunters and people who have to be out workmen who don't want to be shot by hunters. You wear the very bright orange, and then everybody can see you, you see. So we did those with the neon, which is to say blacklight responsive, fluorescent, okay, orange, and I painted the faces of those with fluorescent paints. I used blacklight green and blacklight yellow, and like that. And it really looked amazing under blacklight, and I thought, wow, I got something cool here. And those actually sold out, whatever number we made of them, they sold out pretty quickly. Some people bought them at MaskFest 2024, etc., etc. And I meant to keep one for myself, one of the fluorescent ones. and Laura was going to make a costume to go with it, and that way I would have an orange glow version of Scroovius that could be displayed or worn by anybody at any time. They did not want to risk being mistaken for the Grinch, because when you change the red to the orange, he looks very different. But wow, did they glow. Under fluorescent light, they really glowed. Why don't I have that costume? Because, like an idiot, I sort of failed to keep one aside for myself, and I sold all the fluorescent copies of the Scroovius mask that we did, so I don't have one. I thought I had hung on to one and put it aside somewhere, but no, I sold the last one to a human. So if you got one, kudos, because they're very rare, because we didn't make many, and etc., etc., etc. Now, I don't have a mold on the Chris Russell Scroovius, not because somebody stole it, but because we just made a limited run of them initially for MASKFest, and the MASKFest edition has come and gone. You know, it came, it saw, it went. So I don't have a mold, but I do have a master on this, so it's conceivable that we could make more of these at some point in the future. I think I have a couple of them still for sale down in the workshop, by the way. Retail price, what was it, about $6,000? $6,000, what? Oh, really? More like 175? Maybe it was 175. I was thinking 6,000, but he's seldom wrong about these things. He has a better memory than I do, you know. And just as a side note, let me close on something ridiculous. And I know you never expected that. When Chris Russell did his sculpture, he asked me after he had molded it and completed it if he could have my permission to make a few more using basically Scroovius's face, but altering it to make it into a weird, kooky, creepy snowman as a Christmas monster. And I said yes. And here, and Chris only made 6 or 8 or 10 of these, very few. He sent me a casting, and I've never done anything with it yet, but here is the snowman version of Scroovius. I'm thinking maybe paint it white, paint this orange like a carrot, and you have this weird kooky snowman. But I'm not sure what to do with the back of it, because I think of a snowman as having, you know, a white ball, because his head is a big ball of snow. Not sure what I would do with the back. Maybe a snowman wearing a white hood? I don't know. Or you could tell me if you have a different idea for what this could be other than a snowman. If you can see that nose, it's a bit carroty, but it doesn't make a full commitment to being a carrot, you see. So it could be something else, and you wouldn't have to add the hair on there. It could be done up a little differently from the typical Scroovius. But I have one of these to play with. I don't think Chris has the mold. Maybe he does. I don't think so. But anyway, there's, and just he and I, just to be silly, we were referring to it as Snowvius, because it's white, it's snow. Yeah, okay. I told you that. I think that pretty much covers it. So, that having been said, now I have a story I'd like to tell you. How much time do we have?